our families. Healthy families make healthy societies. I'm Randy.
And I'm Lesli. We're diving deep into the powerful insights of Dr. Randy's groundbreaking book, The Family Legacy: Shaping Culture from the Inside Out.
Hear inspiring stories and strategies to transform your family. We'll explore topics like communication, forgiveness, healing, parenting, marriage. We'll cover it all.
We'll have provoking conversations with experts, coaches, and real-life families who are benefiting from intentional family building.
This podcast isn't just about theories, it's about tools that you can implement today.
We all come from families, so this podcast is for you.
Join us on this incredible family journey. Subscribe now as we learn to do family as God designed.
Transforming families one episode at a time. Remember, whoever wins the family wins the culture in the end. Let's go. Hi, everybody.
Hi there.
Welcome back to Transforming Families with Randy and Lesli. I am Lesli.
And I'm Randy.
If you've been listening, you know we have been in a series on being unified in marriage.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about unified in spirit, unified in mind, will, emotions.
Unified in design.
And I know that many of you have been on pins and needles for today. Today is the Unified Marriage Challenge number 6, unified in body. And we're calling this challenge sex. 6. Do it for life.
See what we did there.
See what we did there. And we're not talking just about sex.
That's
sex
right.
is one element of what it means to be unified in body.
Yeah. So we carry it on, right? And this is in leading up to our 6-week marriage challenge. And we want to encourage you to check the link below, enroll. This is not your average, everyday, run-of-the-mill marriage workshop. I promise you there is new revelation. This is a different take than much. And there will be tools, practical tools that you'll be given.
Let me throw it in. It's not anything new. This is not new, guys, but this is original design that we in this world have far gotten away from original design. If it were not so, we would not have the divorce rate that we have, and we would not have the families that we have. So
that's true. It's not new, but it's not talked about very much. The depths of original design, of God's design, in a way.
The mysteries revealed freshly.
So not only are we going to talk about it, but in every one of these 6 challenges, we're giving specific tools that you'll go away for the week in between classes and you'll practice and put into practice with your spouse to learn them, so you keep doing them in the marriage. That will bring about this oneness. And so this oneness in body, this unified in body. A couple important things before we dive into the meat of this, and that is this. What we are talking about when we say unified, we're talking about what God meant when he said unified. When he made man and woman and put them together, and he said, a man will leave his mother and father and be joined to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. And this oneness message, that even our God, right? Our God is one. And that means scripturally, what it means is it means mutually indwelling. This is the mystery, right? Jesus said, the Father's in me and I am in my Father. It's not like two somehow come together and make up a third thing that's separate. It's that mutually indwelling. It's God's fullness in Jesus, the Father's in Jesus, and Jesus' fullness in God, that they come together unified as one. And same is true. That's the picture and the model designed for marriage. That when Lesli and I, or your spouse and yourself, come together as one, unified, there's such a connection that you mutually indwell one another. In other words, nothing is off limits. It's all access to my mind, to my will, to my emotions, my body, and my spirit. And that we are able to be aware and mindful of both of our beingness in all of those places, not only with ourselves, but also with God. So it's the 3-chord strand that is strong and not easily broken.
Right.
So it's the unified, it's as one. And literally that means That means in scripture, unified in will and in spirit. So there is such a deep, deep oneness in the design of God. And we've been exploring it in all those different parts of us that we were made in design. And today we're going to jump into unified in body. So let's talk about, what is it? What are we actually talking about when we say unified in body?
Yeah, before we dive into this, I'm just really sensing there are listeners out there, and it's the thinking is, man, just give me the key because I want a better sex life, and I just boom, I want the tool, and
you're gonna get it.
I want this it's like you're going down the road, and you forgot something, and you just you pull up the emergency brake, and you turn a donut really fast, and you get back in a different direction. And when we were talking about this newness, that it's nothing new, I want you to think of like when a structure is being built, and there's the line, what do you call that? The measuring line. The plumb line. Mm-hmm. And if that plumb line is not straight, it's not an automatic crookedness. And so a lot of our marriages have, whether you've been married for 5 minutes, 5 weeks, or 50 years, it's this period of time where the plumb line just got a little off kilter. And mm-hmm. This is the strategy of the enemy, guys, just a little bit off kilter. Mm-hmm. And over time, we know that line gets really, really crooked, right? And that's mm-hmm. what's happened. So I just want to encourage everybody, just take a breath. And like a rudder of a ship, which is so small, mm-hmm. I want you to think of the rudder of the ship as your will here. And when you choose to shift the direction of your will, that little tiny rudder, like our tongues, right? It takes a minute for that ship to turn. It's not a hard pull up the emergency brake or a super tight turn. And so I just want to encourage everybody, just relax. There is a remedy to get back into God's design. It doesn't have to take a long time. It's not really an issue of time. It's an issue of order and posture and getting our vessels, mm-hmm. right, back into the direction of moving in the direction of God. I really feel like
that's good.
Like that needed to be said. So, okay, we're talking about,
what is it? What's oneness in body?
What is oneness in body? And again, when we're approaching the Word of God, it is His story. There is a starting and an ending to this story. And in the beginning, original design, God created us in the structure of oneness, with God, Jesus, as the head, and humanity as the body. I want you to hear this. We're going to connect this in a moment. So Jesus with God is the head in the garden in the beginning, and He created humanity, right? In His image, male and female, He created mm-hmm. them.
Mankind.
That mankind is that triangle, if you will. This is original design. It is the structure. God, Jesus, is the head, and humanity is the body, and they are one in the garden. There is no separation. The man and mm-hmm. woman were naked and unashamed before God.
And it was the three of them. They walked in the garden in the afternoons, right? And they were clothed actually in the glory of God.
Yeah, wow.
No clothes, but the glory of God, the presence of God. And it was the three of them.
Yeah.
Really, the five of them, really, right? If you think God has a Trinity, and then Adam and Eve, and this is so important, there was nothing separating.
Nothing separating.
It was all access to all parts of their being, and God had all access to them, and they had all access to God. That's the design.
Right. And so we know the story. So Adam and Eve chose to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And what happened at that time mm-hmm. is they got separated.
Yes.
They were separated from God
mm-hmm.
in the spirit, because remember, God walked with them in the garden. He was with them. So they were separated. Mm-hmm. That was that death, right? Mm-hmm. And they also, because of the curses, man and woman became separated from each other. There was mm-hmm. enmity between them, and also you know, we know the story with the serpent, and that's a whole other different different enmity. But right, okay, so that's what happened. And we're cruising along, but Jesus, God knows what his story is, and he already made a way before we screwed everything up. And that was Jesus, right? Jesus sacrificed himself because of love. And he reconciled us. He made a way for our spirits to then be reconciled back to God. And in that, he also made a way for the original design of humanity to be reconciled. Follow me. Don't lose. I don't want to lose you guys here. So if we fast forward into Ephesians, and Paul is addressing that church at that time in that culture, that whole letter, that whole book is about the mystery of Christ. And the mystery is unity. That whole, it is the whole oneness message that we are to be one body with Jesus as the head. And he, you know, if go back and read Ephesians to refresh yourself, really, it's so rich, guys. But all of the parts, the body, all work together under the headship, which is Jesus. And he's talking about it in the whole context. And he wraps in marriage, he wraps in, you know, slaves and children. And it's all about being reconciled in unity with each other. And I don't want you guys to miss either, because this has been really misconstrued and mistaught. When he's talking about wives submitting to husbands and slaves submitting to their masters, right? That's the cultural context at the time. But what he's really talking about is all of these substructures being in unity with Jesus as the head. We're one body working together in unity by the direction of God.
Yeah. That is very foundational. Like, that is the plumb line. That's the design. And so what is oneness in body? Well, it's, for a husband and a wife, it's the expression of this design where there's nothing separating from you and your spouse. And especially now we're talking today about in body. Well, sex is one of those areas that's very important. And so oneness in body looks like there is no separation. There is no disagreement. There is all access in this area of sex and sexuality and meeting our needs. Now, what that isn't is freedom to be sexually immoral. What it is Paul saying, listen, don't deprive yourself from one another so that you stay faithful, to avoid infidelity. So we know that there's many multi-layer purposes around our bodies, but that's just one piece. And we're going to get more into that in a minute, but there are other pieces, right? Like when we're one in body, we're mutually indwelling each other's needs around the body in this case. So if your spouse is hungry, you're aware and you're thinking about what is it that they need, and do I need to cook something? Do we need to get? And when they're tired, you're thinking, oh, they're tired, and I have grace and understanding, and I'm thinking we need to get to bed. And
yeah, because if I'm tired, Randy's tired, right? Because that's what's
you're one.
That's what's going to happen if I don't get rest. It's going to put stress on the oneness. So the body rests. You know, sometimes our bodies are so tired. We've been physically working so hard, but our brains are like, you know, they're spinning around, and the brain has to shut down in order for the body to be rejuvenated.
Yeah.
This is that picture. Like what concerns Randy in his body concerns me, and vice versa. There's no separation here.
Yeah, it's a way to procreate life, and not just babies, right? It really is a way. Whenever we come together in all these parts of a spirit, soul, body, when we come together, what happens? The fruit of that, the outflow of that, is life. Well, what's life? Well, according to God, right? It's joy and peace and goodness and patience. It is the Spirit of God that is life. God is life. He is love. And
Yeah.
so without separation, I take all of the needs of my body and all of the needs of Leslie's body, and I put them in one bucket. It's the same bucket. And in that bucket, there is our needs. So if she has a need and I look at that bucket, we have a need.
Yeah.
And so the being one means we are connected, we are not separate, we are aware, we're engaged in meeting and satisfying and taking care of the needs of our spouse.
Yeah. We're going to talk more about this in a minute. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to talk more about this subject. Sometimes challenges in marriage can feel overwhelming, especially when there are areas of separation around money, parenting, or sex, leading us to, oh, well, this is as good as it's going to get.
Most pain in marriage comes from being separate. God's design for marriage is oneness. Oneness is the prize of marriage.
But what is oneness practically in our day-to-day life? And how do we get there from here?
Hi, Dr. Randy and Lesli from the Family Reformation Project. We empower couples with practical tools and support to help break the cycles of separation.
We've turned our coaching sessions for couples into the unified 6-week marriage challenge.
Through 6 experiential classes and 6 challenges over 6 weeks, you will learn how to be unified in 6 key areas. Unified in design, spirit, mind, will, emotion, and body.
It's not too late to transform your marriage forever. Join us for the unified 6-week marriage challenge. Click on the link below to register today and get unified for the price of a date.
All right, we're back. Thanks. So what is it when we're unified in body? Well, we are mutually indwelling each other. We are aware, we are engaged, we're meeting each other's needs, whatever those needs might be, whether it's for treating and supporting sickness, whether it's getting sleep, food, and around sex. It is being so aware and open and willing that we are caring for, with a servant heart, the needs of our spouse. What it's not. Let's talk about what it's not.
Yeah. So we're talking about unity, and we're talking about order, and we're talking about design. I want you to imagine, like, if there's a broken ankle in just one body, my body, I got a broken ankle. I'm not mad at my ankle for being broken or sprained. I don't cuss it out, right? But while it's broken, I am not walking in cadence. I'm not walking in the fullness of original design because there's an injury there. And this is what it looks like when we're not in unity in body, right? It's disjointed. There's a part that's just not walking in fullness of design. And so when we're not unified, I just want you to imagine for a minute, because this one is about body, but on the issue of sex. And I know this is a family show, so I'm going to keep this clean. But when you come together with your spouse, and at the end of that encounter, if you are feeling dissatisfied, you're feeling separate, you're feeling like, I'm glad that's over. Or if you're rolling over and you're deep in your heart, if you're honest, it's like, I don't really care if she or he got their needs met. I got what I needed and I'm snoring, right? That is a picture of separateness, and it's outside of God's design. And there is a way, just like with all of these challenges around unity, there is a way to get back into oneness, firstly with God, so that you can be in oneness with each other.
Yeah, it's good. What it's not is using sex or availability of sex as a weapon. So you withhold it when you're upset. What it's not is using this in the area of tit for tat. Well, you didn't do this, so I'm not doing that. When it becomes divisive, when it's anything but, I am 100% open, all access to you, to your needs, and I'm willing. Now, if that obviously gets harmful or crosses boundaries where it's not safe or godly, then obviously there are boundaries that God put on that for good. But But we're talking, well, I tell you what else it's not. It's not, and I know this might push some buttons, but this is a real thing that we deal with people. There are teachings out there that suggest that women are just there to satisfy the need, right? To cook and take care of the kids and to be there and have their bodies available for sex. And that's their role. And that is not what God had in design for unity exclusively. We're to be together as one, equals, co heirs, right? We are, what's the word? Complete counterparts, perfect counterparts to one another that fit together.
And when we're fitting together that way in our sex life, it is life producing. Just think about how you feel, like all of you, body, soul, spirit, when you have really connected with your spouse sexually. Like, man, don't tell me that's not life-given, right? It is, your nerve endings, your spirit, everything about you feels alive. It's life-giving. And there is nothing, there's no feeling that's more connected to your spouse when you are together in that way. It's God's gift. It's his design. And this is what it means to be and to produce, to multiply life. Yes, multiply children and populate the earth, but it's to bring forth life and that complete and utter nakedness and transparency between a husband and a wife with God. It's exclusive, right? But it also is the picture to the rest of humanity, the mystery. This is the mystery where we are unified, and it's modeled by design originally in the context of marriage. And we know that there's not everybody's going to be married, and that's a totally different teaching. And it's the bigger story in Ephesians, as Paul teaches. But marriage is foundationally the design for humanity, and marriages are to model that to their children, and we are to model that to the rest of the world.
Yeah, so good. I'll give you a couple of other examples here. And it's really the return to the garden.
Yeah.
Naked, unashamed, completely open and vulnerable, and with God. I tell you, one of the most beautiful things that can happen in a Christian marriage is that while you're enjoying that time together with your spouse, that you're also enjoying it with the Lord, that you're speaking blessings, that you're offering thanks. And it really is an act of worship. We're valuing God's design and enjoying each other the way he designed that. Now, this is like, some of you are like, man, that is so far away from my experience. I don't even know where to start. Well, what would stop us from going back to God and saying, I'm going to do this your way? Remember, we've been talking, when we don't know God, we want my will, my way. And that translates to every part. I want what I want when I want it, including sex. And if I don't have that, then I'm upset because I didn't get what I wanted.
Yeah. And I'm going to blame my spouse for that.
And I'm selfish. Well, then we get saved maybe, and we're pursuing God. And then we start to want God's will, but I still want it my way. I have better intentions and better goals, but I'm going about getting those things my way. Finally, when we're mature and when we learn to die to ourselves and become one with God and our spouse, then we enter this place. Okay, let's both together do his will, his way. And there is a surrender. And when there's a surrender to doing things, why wouldn't we? And this is a question I want you to ponder. Why wouldn't you meet the needs of your spouse to the best of your ability with a great and open heart of love? Why wouldn't you? Whatever the answer to that question is something that you need to address with the Lord and with your spouse, because whatever is standing in the way, keeping you separate from, as much as it depends on me, I'll do anything to meet your needs. That's legal and moral and ethical and good.
Yeah. There's when we come to the Lord, whether we were raised, we've just grown up in it, or we had an experience with the Father's love later in life.
Mm-hmm.
It is, if you remember, remember back to that time when you knew you were so seen and you just experienced the extravagant love of God. And I want to make a special note as we wrap things up here. We know the stats on sexual abuse in childhood they're astronomical, guys. And they're higher for women than they are for men, but those numbers are climbing for the men that are coming forward and revealing sexual abuse in childhood. And marriage is such a beautiful way to help heal that in your mate, where you can receive pure love. Love that's not, that your spouse is not coming at you because they're sexualizing you, but they're loving you. There's a few lines in a song that I just are so appropriate to this. The name of the song is Extravagant. And of course, it's talking about our love with God. But I want you to hear these lyrics and think about it in the context of how you approach sex in your marriage, how you approach your spouse, and how you receive. So for how you give and how you receive. And it's just a few lines here. Here is all my love. It's yours, no conditions. When you pull me close, no, I won't resist it. Wow.
Yeah.
That is total transparency. Yeah. Here is all of me. I give all of me to you. And as you come to me, I'm not going to resist it. I'm going to receive all of the love that you have. And as we're doing this together in unity invite the Lord into your marriage bed. That's design, guys. That's not weird. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's back to the garden, and you can have this side of heaven.
So good. I love those lyrics.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you'll find that the most vulnerable physical relationship in this material world is that relationship, right? The sexual relationship between a man and a woman, or really two people, that is so intimate and so sacred. But what it reveals where other parts of us even are out of alignment with God or need healing, right? Whatever objections, I asked a minute ago, what would stop you from just openly meeting the needs of your spouse as much
and
as receiving.
So many people are in opposition to receive pleasure from their mate.
That's true. And we may or may not have some challenges in our marriage challenge around that to help you discover that and overcome that. But really, when that happens, it will reveal, well, I'm insecure about my body, or I'm insecure, or I had this wound that I was abused, or whatever. And it gives you the opportunity then to be one in emotion, one in mind. Well, let's explore that together. And let's go to the Lord and let's get our wound healed and our thinking and our lives straightened out, so that we now perceive what happened the way God does. And we're able, Romans 8:28, to extract the good out of all things and to be healed. Now I can come back together without that barrier, without that separation, and it just increases the intimacy. So in a lot of ways, because we're relating in this physical material world through our bodies, that is the eye opener to other places in our being where we are not unified.
Yeah.
And because I'll tell you what, if you are unified in mind and will and emotion and spirit, you are in love. You are not hidden. You're not afraid. And when you feel like that about your spouse, where you are seen and you are known, I mean, to the deepest part, warts and all, everything, that only brings the best kind of intimacy or sexually in our bodies. Am I right?
You're right.
And so those are the treasures that are available when we decide to be one as a whole being, doing it God's way, mind, will, emotion, and body.
Unified.
unified as one. And this is one of the top, obviously, one of the top areas of argument, of disagreement. Get this,
pain,
separation.
Yeah.
Where we are not one in this place. There's something I want that I'm not getting, or there's something I'm giving I don't want to give, or there's, and on from there. And it will destroy your relationship and your intimacy over time if we're not one.
So if we just want to invite you guys again, the link below, we're doing a 6-week unified marriage challenge. You're gonna come away with that with so many tools to implement. It's going to be fun. It's going to be enlightening. We encourage you to sign up for that. And in the short run, go to the Lord, get on your knees freshly. Lord, what do you want me to know about this separateness in my marriage? And ask him what the next right step is for you. Maybe just starting with repentance, which is always the best place to start.
That's right. I've been doing it the wrong way by choice, so now I'm choosing to do it your way. It really is bliss. It is heaven on earth.
Indeed.
It is oneness, no separation, and it's glorious, and it translates to the bedroom. So we'll catch you in our challenge, and we'll enjoy our time with you. Blessings. Remember,
whoever wins the family
wins the culture in the end.
See you next time.
That wraps up another inspiring episode of Transforming Families with Randy and Lesli. We hope that today's conversation has left you feeling empowered and equipped to take action.
Remember, transforming families begins with transforming ourselves. Let's be intentional, loving, and persevere. You're not alone. We're right here with you.
We believe Proverbs 24:3. Wise people are builders. They build families, businesses, and communities. Through intelligence and insight, their enterprises are established and endure.
Thanks for joining us today. We encourage you to stay connected with us on social media, join our email list, and learn more about our resources and classes at the Family School by visiting thefamilyreformationproject.com.
Remember to subscribe, share with your loved ones, and spread the word about transforming families. We'll see you on our next episode. And remember, whoever wins the family wins the culture in